What's going on, guys? Happy Friday and welcome back. So I mentioned it yesterday that I was going to go over Amethyst Emerald Tempo and why I think that it's a strong pick for the current meta for this weekend for set championships, and why I think that it's poised to just do really, really well. With the trends that we've been seeing, I think with Purple Steel seeing success, with Popsicle just inevitably being very strong as well, and Steel Song starting to see somewhat of a decline, although I think your Steel Song matchup is actually better than it used to be. I think this deck just has such a consistent toolbox and is so good across the board. You really have answers for just about all of your matchups already pre-built into your deck, and it can do a lot of fun things, and it can really close games out fast. It can kind of get into that more mid-game type deck. Not saying you always want to go into the longer games. The sooner you can close it out, the better. But you do have a pretty healthy toolbox across the board. Playing 10 1-drops, 12 2s, 13 3s, 15 4s. Then we drop down to 7 5s and just a couple 7s. Overall, the deck does come in under $200, so it's kind of budget as far as competitive decks go, and we're also sitting at 14 uninkables, so kind of right at the top of where I would like to be. When we look at the breakdown of the deck in our 1-drop spots, you have your Chernobog's Followers, which offers some consistency via the card draw, the 2 strength in case you need it. You could say maybe play a Broom here if you would rather. I just like the 2 strength a lot from Followers. Then Cursed Merfolk. Merfolk offering you that faster play line, especially against a deck like Popsicle, where you really want to come out swinging and apply a lot of early pressure to them. In addition, you do have Clarabelle, which helps a lot versus those item decks like Popsicle, where as soon as turn 3, you can play her, pay 2 ink, banish chosen item. So she has a lot of utility. Not only is she just a generic 1-drop, she also can be item removal as soon as turn 3, so that's one of your toolboxy cards as the game goes on. Into your 2-drop spot, lots of utility here. We have our Madam Mim Snake, which is your bouncer, which works with your goat, your rabbit, all those fun cards. You have your Banzai. So against like Popsicle, if you can get Banzai down on 2 even, outside of like Ice Block plus a Brawl, they don't really have a great early answer for it. Not only do they not have 2 strength on a lot of their characters, they don't have ways to deal with 3 will or 3 strength on their own. So outside of like Ice Block and reducing it, Banzai actually puts in a lot of work in the Popsicle matchup, and in other matchups he's a 3 strength character, which is just very good. It helps in Ruby Amethyst versus the Flynn Rider lines as well, getting a 3 strength character down on turn 2 between your Snake and your Banzai. In just all these other matchups, it's just such a strong card overall. If you can't quite close out your game, you have the utility of Go-Go Tamago to come in later. So you can put some damage on characters and then just slap a Go-Go Tamago down, get that instantaneous lore, and win your game that way. He's also evasive, so that kind of does come up once in a while and is a nice little card to have. 3 Ursula Deceivers. I don't think you necessarily need more. She helps you out in that Steel Song matchup, especially if you pair up multiple Ursulas or a singular Ursula with like a Madam Mim Snake or a Madam Mim Fox to be able to bounce it, to replay her. Go after those whole new worlds first, worry about the damage songs afterwards, but hitting those whole new worlds is going to be very beneficial, and you can do a lot against the Steel Song matchup that way, or against like Diggy Hole, things like that. Just hitting their song when they come out with Cinderella to try to protect their aggressive drops, and then like coming back with Fox is incredibly strong as well as another line. Fox as well, obviously, is Madam Mim Fox is Madam Mim Fox. Like, it's one of the best Amethyst, one of the best overall cards in the game. A 4/3 rush, 3 inkable. She's very, very strong. We got 4 crabs because the deck can kind of lack in removal. So we do have the 4 crabs just to help you really get over big threats, help you get over other things like McDuck Manor seeing a lot of play. So if you know you're against a Manor and your hand allows it, on 3 you play crab, and then on 4 you go crab into Manor, bounce crab with Fox. Fox now has 7 strength. 3 plus 7 is 10. You can take out a McDuck Manor, a library, pretty much any location in the game pretty easily. some cards to disrupt your opponent's tempo, because that's what we like to do, right? You have Kit Cloud Kicker and Lyle Tiberius Rourke. Lyle's pretty nice to be able to force your opponent into challenging you, make them take out your character, then they lose a lore for it. So not only do they not quest, they lose a lore because one of your characters is banished, and he can just provide a nice little pivot tempo swing. The 2/4 body also is very nice. In our 4-drop spots, we got 4 genie, 4 goats, and 4 rabbits. Initially, I was not going to play genie, and I went a whole different route with the deck, and then I came back towards a more standardized list like this. I still think genie's incredibly strong. He applies a ton of pressure. He says, answer me now before I generate too much advantage. But overall, between Big Sisu, the brawls, all these types of removal cards, I really like rabbit just for that guaranteed second draw that you're going to get. Resource advantage is insanely important in this game, and just goat plus rabbit is very, very strong, wanting to keep that up. 3 bells, being able to move damage, is definitely strong as well. Something like Maui Half Shark could pose problems because he can take out a character. He's evasive, so then they're just going to start getting all their actions back, being able to get that lore from playing actions. But all of a sudden, you take out something else now, or you go another route, you hit something else, and you play Bell, and you move that damage over to the Half Shark, and you can take out the Half Shark that way. Otherwise, things like Elsa plus Crab, Kit Cloud Kicker plus Crab, Genie plus Crab, like these types of characters to boost to be able to take out Maui Half Sharks. I know you might not want to be like, I don't want to throw my Genie into a Half Shark, but do it. Half Shark is just such a strong card. It's such a menace on the board. Getting rid of it can put you in a very, very good spot moving forward. Elsa, obviously, it answers Diablos, answers Genies, answers so many cards. It can answer Flynn, exerting Flynn, being able to also have rush and challenge into stuff. Elsa does put in a lot of work. Oh, apologies. Almost done. We got 3 Clarabelle sent as well. So if the game starts to go into that longer route, you do also have the Shift 5 line open. You can go for Clarabelle, and Clarabelle just being nice to completely rebuild your hand back, being able to be aggressive, dump your hand onto the board, get Clarabelle down, draw 3, 4, maybe more cards depending on your opponent's hand size. Just such a good strong card, and a 5/6 2 questing body is just absolutely insane. Like what this card offers is so strong and very difficult to deal with outside of like B Prep or Maldragon. They're going to be struggling to out her, so she does put in so much work, and I really like Clarabelle right now in the current format. Like I said, you got the shift lines, and you can just go pretty aggressive and dump your hand onto the board and then get Clarabelle down, and there's so much you can do with her. She's so strong. Really liking her in testing as well. And then lastly, the 3 locations. I know, library. I've said it before, I'll say it again, and I'm going to say it now. I've never left an event saying library carried me in a few of those games. I have finished plenty of games saying, man, Castle straight up won me that game. I get that it has 1 less willpower. I get that a Fox Bounce Crab takes it out clean. I get that Maui Half Shark takes it out clean. But at the end of the day, they have so many answers to take out library very quickly as well. And the pressure that Queen's Castle applies, I think, is far greater than the potential benefit of a library, especially when you get your characters there and then they just take it out before you can get rid of them. And it's like, okay, so best case scenario, you play it turn 4 or 5 or so, you play it, you move your 1-drop, you quest it, you pop it, or you quest it, then you play a character, you pop it, you draw 2 cards, stuff like that, right? But how often are you trying to keep your 1-drops that far into the game anyway? A lot of the time you're not. So overall, I think Queen's Castle is still the better call. I think it's the better card. I think it's the better play. And I'm not trying to use it as evidence, quote unquote, but a lot of these decks that we're putting in libraries and running that play line, Ruby Amethyst, Blurple, they're on the downturn. Since they started cramming libraries in, they're performing overall worse. I'm just saying, could it just be the overall way the format is going? Absolutely. It could have nothing to do with library whatsoever. I'm just saying, as the format's gone on, decks like those have been seeing library played more and more often, and their success rate has also been going down. Are the two linked? I think yes. Is it true? Nope, I have absolutely no solid concrete proof to prove that latter, but overall, I still think Queen's Castle is the much stronger location. I think it's the more impactful one. I think it is the one that can carry you out of a bad situation better. I think it's the one that forces an answer quicker. Overall, I think Queen's Castle, if you're going to play a location, should be the call in an Amethyst deck. The big highlights of the deck, I would say Belle puts in so much work. Big Clarabelle and Rabbit are probably the three big cards. Just Rabbit, like I said, getting that guaranteed lore, or not lore, the guaranteed draw. So a quick recap on some matchups. Popsicle, obviously, if you can hit like Merfolk, Banzai 1-2, and then hitting like Tiberius Rourke for their Hiram, pretty much forces them to sing the How Far I'll Go with the Hiram instead of questing. Otherwise, if they don't have it, they're going to have to challenge into something. So you can really force their hand with Lyle Tiberius into that Popsicle matchup as well. And then in addition, you have, as the board develops, you have your Clarabelle with your item removal. You can even bounce her to do it again and do it repeatedly. So there's a lot of good lines that you can take into the Popsicle matchup. I think this deck fares pretty decent there. Into your Diggy Hole matchups, you're probably going to want to go for probably Chernobog's Followers on one, or even Clarabelle, because the second willpower, she can ping into something a couple times. So say you go Clarabelle 1 on turn 2, I'd actually go like Banzai or just get a Snake down on board. Banzai, not necessarily for the questing power, just the 3 strength is going to be very strong there. Turn 3, if you can play like a Crab, give your Clarabelle 4 strength, take out their Daisy. And then on turn 4, Crab take something out, play your Fox, bounce your Crab, take out a location completely clean, stuff like that. But just puts you ahead. That deck it really needs its resources. It tends to fall flat on its face. Your Crab Fox interactions, especially Crab with your 2 strength characters, making sure Plutos, Lawrences, you don't leave them damaged on the board. Make sure you one-shot them, take them out completely cleanly. Don't let the Rapunzel come down and heal 3 damage, draw 3 cards. That's going to put you too far behind. Making sure you take them out clean, and you shouldn't really have too big of a problem with that deck. You also have Kit Cloud Kicker to be able to bounce their repetitive characters, bouncing their Daisies, bouncing their Piglets, bouncing really any high questing threat that you need to get off the board. You can do that pretty well with the deck. Overall, I think that this deck is just poised to do really well, and I think it's in a great spot. And if I were going to a set championships tomorrow, this deck would be how I would take this. If I was to take this deck, this is how I would build it and take it. I think it's in a very good spot, and I'm excited to see if we can go 4 for 4 predicting big hitting decks for the weekend. But thank you guys for stopping. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the support, and until next time, take care.